Welcome to all you guitar players, and welcome to this guitar lesson by a non-guitarist. Now, I know what you're wondering. If this guy doesn't know how to play guitar, how can he teach me anything useful about playing guitar? And in a sense, you are right. I can't teach you anything about technique or scales or theory or practice exercises. However, what I can do is something much more practical and something you're going to like a whole lot more than playing scales or fingering exercises. That is, I'm going to show you how you can learn to play new material better and faster, probably a whole lot faster than what you're currently learning. We once did a survey with guitarists on the topic of slowing music down, and we asked them how much faster, in their opinion, were they able to learn a song that had been slowed down to 50%. And the results shocked us, because these guitarists told us that it helped them learn 2 to 10-fold better, with the average being 614% or over 6 times faster. Let me say that again. Slowing music down to 50% helped this group of guitarists learn 6 times faster. That's pretty amazing. One other thing I'd like to draw your attention to emphasize the importance of slowing music down is what you can see on Google. That is, if you do a search on Google for slow down guitar songs, you see about 24 million searches. If you do a search for slow down guitar playing, you see 34 million. And if you do a search for slow down guitar lessons, you see 94 million returns. Well, that's a whole lot of people out there looking for music, looking for guitar-related music and songs and lessons that are slowed down. So that should just re-emphasize to you the importance that people place in slowing music down. Okay, with all of that as a background then, we're going to go ahead and create a customized practice lesson using this tool called Song Surgeon. And we're going to be using a song from the 70s called China Grove by the Doobie Brothers. It was a fairly popular song back in the 70s, and I'm sure many of you will recognize it. Let's go ahead and take a quick listen to at least part of it. So really doesn't matter whether or not you recognize this. The point is that you can take any solo, any riff, any segment of music that you want and do the exact same thing we're going to talk about here. So what I did is I took this solo from China Grove and I copied it and then I pasted it back into this same file. So I made essentially 2 clones or 3 copies of this same piece of music. And then what I did is I set up loop points around them, and those are the green and the red bars that you see here in each of these 3 different pieces. And the loop points allow this to loop continuously or to do some other things, which I'll show you in just a second. And then once I've created the 3 different pieces of clone music here, and we've set loops around them, then the other thing that we can do is we can customize them by adjusting the tempo. So in my case here, I've set this first loop to play at 50%, the second one at 75, and then the third at 100, with the idea being that we'll start with something slow, and as we increase our proficiency, we'll increase the speed to the point that we can play this at the 100% or the normal speed. So that's one way of customizing it. The other thing you can do, and I'm going to use just this third loop here as an example, is we can use the loop edit button here and open this up, and you can see that we have a loop count here of -1, which means infinite. It'll loop infinitely in this area until you stop it. And we have a delay of 0, which means essentially that once it plays through this, it hits the end of this loop, meaning this red bar here, and then it jumps immediately back to the beginning and continues to play. If we change this to 2 or 5 or 10 seconds, then once it gets to the end, it actually stops, pauses for some period of time before it then begins to play back. And that's useful if you want to regain your thoughts or regroup your fingers or do whatever. And I think you can understand why that would be useful. I'm not going to go into that in any more detail. So that's a second way in which you can actually customize these things. And of course, not only can you customize tempo, you can also customize pitch down here or key. And that's yet another thing that we can look at perhaps in another video that I won't demonstrate today. So this is then a practice lesson that we've created that's customized for us You can do similar things with your own files to create a practice lesson that you want to play, that you want to learn, that you're actually interested in, not something that's in a canned lesson. And then once you've created it, there are three different ways really you can use it. Number one, you can save this as an internal project file, what we call an SSP file, and then when you reopen it, all of these settings will be reapplied on the screen. So that's one way. A second way is you can use the export button up here and export and create an entirely new file like a WAV or an MP3 file. It will actually save these three pieces of music and save the first one at 50, the second one at 75, and the third at 100. And of course what that does is that it allows you then to burn that back to a CD, put it on an iPod or an MP3 player, and now it's become portable. And the last thing that you can do with this is what we call is create a CPOD. And a CPOD is essentially a self-contained EXE file that you can send to anyone that has a Windows operating system. And I say Windows only because we haven't figured out how to write the code to do this in a Mac. And essentially anyone, even if they don't have SongSurgeon on their machine, can then open this up and they'll see exactly the same thing you see here on my screen right now. And it will allow them to use this file and to make changes to this file, change loop settings, change tempo, change pitch, change all of these things. But they can only do it on this file, this China Grove file. They can't do it on anything else because they're not a customer, they don't own the product. So essentially it allows you to send this to a teacher, to a fellow student, to a family member, to a bandmate, and share this lesson that you've created with someone else. Lastly, before I close, I also wanted just to tell you that SongSurgeon has something we call a music pad feature embedded in it, and it's a pretty nice feature as well because when you use it, you can actually either store tablature or music that you find on the internet in it, or you can create it yourself. And in this case, I used Music Pad to create the tablature for the song that I have open on the screen. So not only can I hear it being played at these different speeds, and I can follow along with it more easily because it's slowed down. I can also follow along with it by watching and viewing the tablature here, and actually can play along with it if I'd like to. And of course, if we store this as a SongSurgeon project file, anytime we reopen the file, it will contain not only all of these things you see on the screen, but it will also contain this tablature, which I've stored within SongSurgeon as well. So that's a real quick, brief overview of this 3-speed lesson that we've created. We could spend a lot more time on it, but it gives you at least a flavor of some of the capabilities of what SongSurgeon can do. One other thing that I almost forgot to tell you, and that is below this video on this page there is a form, and we'd love to hear back from you to get your comments and thoughts about what you think of this video and this particular tool and this concept of slowing things down to help you learn. And when you complete this form, we'll provide you, after the form has been submitted, a download link for both the Windows and the Mac version of a demo. It's a 4-hour fully functional demo that you can use, and you'll be able to do exactly the same things you've seen demonstrated on the screen here today. So thanks for your time. Bye.